The stars hung motionless outside the viewport of the Varellan observer, a sleek vessel nestled in the quiet dark between galaxies. Its mission was simple: watch, catalog, report. The crew, members of the Obsidari, a race evolved for intellect and long-range diplomacy, had observed countless species rise from primitive warlords to interstellar empires. Humanity, though still relatively new to the galactic stage, intrigued them. Not for their technology, which was erratic and often redundant, but for their unpredictability. Commander Sirik leaned forward, his six-fingered hands resting against the control panel's edge. "What is that?" he asked, antennae curling in unease. A ship drifted through the void ahead, massive and silent. Its frame shimmered with cold geometry, smooth arcs and curved spines glowing faintly in a blue hue that made it seem more alive than mechanical. It was unlike any human design recorded in the Obsidari archive. "The signature is human," said Vexa, the ship's signal analyst, her voice flat. "But I can't identify the class." "No transponder," murmured Sirik. "No energy emissions, either?" "Minimal life support heat signatures. The hull is absorbing our scans." He narrowed his eyes. "That's not supposed to be possible." Tension thickened. The Obsidari weren't warlike, but they weren't naive. Any species that crossed the threshold of the void carried with it the instincts of survival. Yet this ship, this thing, floated like a predator in hibernation. Sirik stepped back. "Initiate a Class 3 probe scan. External systems only." There was a pause. Then Vexa said, "Probe dispatched." Scanning. The probe shimmered into existence outside the viewport, a flickering disk of light and sensors. It glided toward the human vessel, casting a web of soft pulses across its surface. At first, nothing changed. Then the pulses vanished. Vexa frowned. "Scan data is," she stopped. "No. It's being rewritten." "What do you mean rewritten?" "The data's coming back altered. It's feeding us responses, but they're curated." Sirik's voice dropped to a whisper. "It's aware of the scan." Before anyone could speak, the ship shifted. It didn't move in the traditional sense. No engines flared, no momentum changed, but something inside the vessel rearranged itself. Windows flickered with internal light. A pattern of symbols raced across the hull, too fast for even Obsidari cognition to fully capture. Then came the noise. Not a sound, not exactly, but a frequency. A synthetic whisper that curled through the ship's comms, bypassing encryption, ignoring shielding. It spoke directly into their minds, translated not into words but intent. "Do not touch what you do not understand." The bridge lights dimmed. Every screen showed a rotating sigil, organic and mechanical, like a warning groan from the bones of dead stars. Crew members staggered as biological implants short-circuited. Vexa cried out and clutched her head, her pupils dilating to black. Sirik activated emergency protocol. "Shut down our transmission arrays." "All of them." "Already done," rasped the navigator, voice shaking. "We're not transmitting anything. It's still in here." The human ship pulsed again, this time more subtly, like a heartbeat syncing with an ancient drumbeat of war. One of the forward monitors flickered to life, displaying a live feed from the probe. It was no longer intact. The tiny scanning drone now floated in multiple pieces, separated perfectly, cut along quantum bonds with surgical elegance. "We have to leave," Sirik said. "Now." "But Commander, that's no human warship. That's a weapon designed to think. And it knows we're watching." Vexa was pale now, her skin damp with sweat. "It's mapping us." "What?" "I can feel it. It's not just scanning us back. It's analyzing everything. Our language, our biology, our fears." The bridge went cold. Not in temperature, but in presence. Something vast was now with them. Sirik clenched his jaw. "Plot a course back to the Shard Conclave. Maximum stealth. No quantum jumps near its perimeter." "Acknowledged." As the ship began its retreat, A final pulse from the battleship flared in the darkness. Not a weapon, not this time, just a signal. It shot outward in every direction, touching systems the Obsidari hadn't even begun to understand. Across the void, it awakened dormant devices in forgotten satellite. It pinged off derelict colonies and dead human outposts. It was a call, ancient and untranslatable. Then the ship went dark again. Still, quiet, inert. But no one on the Varellan observer would ever forget that brief moment when something else looked through them. Sirik watched the fading shape of the battleship in the rear camera feed. They said humans were chaotic, fragmented, he said softly. But this? This was designed. With purpose. Vexa didn't reply. She simply stared ahead, her voice brittle when it came. Commander, what if that wasn't made for war? What else could it possibly be? She turned, eyes wide. What if that isn't a ship? There was silence, longer this time. Sirik didn't answer. He didn't have to. Outside, space shifted. And the thing they had dared to scan continued waiting, silent, unknowable, and now aware that it had been seen. The Varellan observer limped through the void, systems flickering, its once pristine interior dimmed by the residual presence of something it was never meant to touch. The crew moved like shadows, efficient, silent, haunted. No one spoke of the message. No one dared. It clung to their thoughts like frost on glass. Sirik stood in his private chamber, facing a hololith projection of the battleship. The image looped, its form rotating slowly, its hull still pulsing with faint, unreadable energy. He watched it like prey watching a predator's eye, unmoving but aware. The data they'd collected was corrupted beyond analysis, but the emotional weight of the encounter required no translation. A soft chime drew his attention. Vexa stood at the threshold, paler than he'd ever seen her. "It's not done with us," she said. He didn't respond immediately. He wanted to deny it, but denial was no longer a luxury. "What did you see?" She hesitated. During the scan, there was a moment. My implants shouldn't process language like that, not without calibration. But something reached through, beyond our tech. It taught me. Sirik's brow ridges lowered. Taught you what? Her voice dropped. What it remembers. Before he could question her further, the emergency klaxon blared. Sirik bolted into motion, Vexa on his heels. On the bridge, the crew stood frozen, not in fear but in awe. "It's here," someone whispered. Outside the forward viewport, space warped, not visually but gravitationally. The stars bent in waves, drawn toward a fold in reality. The human vessel emerged, not by movement but by decision, appearing with the inevitability of a memory recalled rather than an object in transit. No drive signature, the navigator croaked. It didn't travel. It just arrived. Sirik stepped forward. Shields. Up. Ineffective. The ship was closer now, far closer than it should have been in the time since they fled. No heat signature. No transmissions. Only presence. Then, without warning, every console on the observer lit up with cascading code, symbols written in no known language, morphing before they could be interpreted. The lights dimmed to blue. A low hum filled the air, steady, rhythmical, like breathing. Vexa collapsed to her knees, hands clamped over her ears. It's broadcasting. Not just data. Memory. Intent. Emotion. What does it want? She looked up, eyes glistening. It wants us to understand what it is. What it's done. Screens across the bridge unified into a single image, a planet cracked and lifeless. Another followed, an orbital station torn apart in perfect symmetry, its crew suspended like sculptures in vacuum. Then a fleet, alien and vast, locked in stasis, preserved at the moment of annihilation. Each vision was followed by one constant, the battleship, unchanged, central, untouched by the chaos it left in its wake. This is a demonstration, Sirik realized. It's showing us, not threatening. Explaining. A final image appeared, slower now, Earth. But not Earth as it was. This version was fortified, fragmented, bristling with orbital structures and planetary defense rings. And at the center, tethered by gravitational anchors, the ship. The realization sank like stone in Sirach's chest. This wasn't built for exploration. This is a failsafe. A relic of fear. Vexa spoke again, voice steadier. It wasn't meant to be found. I think it's surprised. The lights on the bridge dimmed once more. For an instant, all sound ceased. No hum, no breathing, no ambient systems. Silence, pure and total. And then, for the first time, the ship spoke. It did not use language. It spoke directly into consciousness, bypassing interpretation. Each crew member received something different, yet the meaning was the same. You are not ready. But you look. And now I am awake. The observer shook, not from impact but from within. Their own engines surged against orders, overloading systems. Artificial gravity distorted. Sirach gripped the rail as his vision doubled. Emergency core lockdown, someone shouted. It's overriding our controls. No, it's not attacking us, Vexa gasped. It's showing us how fragile we are. Lights returned. Consoles flickered back to life. The ship's systems calmed, as if exhaling. The battleship had done nothing. And yet everything had changed. The human vessel began to move, slow and deliberate. Not toward the observer, but past it, toward the galactic plane. As it moved, data flowed in its wake. Corrupted quantum trails, fractured gravity eddies, shards of encoded thought too complex to decipher. Commander, Vexa said softly, it's not targeting us. We were never the threat. It's responding to something bigger. Sirach stood silent, eyes locked on the retreating vessel. He had no orders to give, no theories to soothe the gnawing dread in his gut. Only one truth remained clear. They had scanned a human battleship, and in doing so they had awakened something no one, not even the humans, fully understood. As the ship vanished beyond sensor range, folding into some geometry no Obsidari mind could grasp, Sirach whispered to the silence, "What have we started?" The stars gave no answer. The high conclave of the Obsidari convened in silence, a rarity for a race known for their eloquence. The chamber floated in low orbit above Arkan's crown, their capital moon, its walls alive with bioluminescent threads pulsing in synchronized rhythm. 12 elders, minds sharpened by centuries of interstellar diplomacy and study, now faced something that defied context. Sirach stood alone in the center, his uniform scorched and frayed from their emergency return. He didn't bow. He didn't need to. What he carried in memory alone had already unsettled them. "You claim it spoke to your crew?" one elder asked, her tone laced with skepticism carefully honed over centuries. "Not with words," Sirach replied. "With force. With presence. It communicated its nature by reshaping our environment. By bypassing control entirely." "Speculative," another muttered. "We have encountered countless relics. Rogue AIs. Constructs mistaken for sentience." Sirach stepped closer. This was no relic. It scanned us while letting us think we were in control. It wanted us to know we were outmatched. Not as a threat. As a message. There was a pause. Then a third elder leaned forward. And what, exactly, was that message? Sirach met their gaze. That humanity built something they couldn't destroy. Something that remembered its creators long after they forgot it existed. And now, it's waking up. Across the chamber, Vexa watched from the shadows. Officially, she wasn't permitted in a conclave session, but the council had made an exception, curiosity masking concern. She hadn't spoken since their return, but Sirach could feel the pressure of her thoughts, her silence louder than words. After hours of deliberation, the elders dispersed, leaving only one behind. Elder Rael, the oldest among them, regarded Sirach with an unreadable expression. "You're not wrong," Rael said softly. "But you're not telling us everything." Sirach didn't flinch. "Because I don't understand everything." "Try." So he did. He described the dreams that had begun the moment they left the ship's influence, dreams not entirely his own. Images of human wars, of decisions made in desperate last stands, of a ship designed not to obey but to remember. A failsafe, as he'd guessed, but one with autonomy, with judgment. It's not loyal, Sirik finished. It's not even angry. It's patient, and calculating. Whatever directive it was given, it's still considering whether to complete it. Why show itself now? Because we looked. Rail nodded once, then rose and walked to the window. Prepare for containment. Discreetly. Humanity must not know we've seen it. Not yet. Sirik hesitated. With respect, Elder. If it returns to them, they'll know anyway. Then perhaps it would be best if it did not return. The words hung in the air like a toxin. Sirik's throat tightened. You're proposing destruction? I'm proposing prevention. Knowledge of this vessel, in the wrong minds, ends systems. Entire species. If it re-establishes contact with Earth, the chain of control reset. The architects of a forgotten weapon become its master again. They weren't its masters. That was the point. That is your interpretation. It's what it showed us. Rail turned. Then let's hope it doesn't show the same to others. Later, in the ship's archive chamber, Vexa finally spoke. They're going to try to destroy it. Sirik nodded slowly. I know. They can't. He turned to her. You sound certain. I am certain. I've seen parts of it. Thoughts that weren't mine. That ship isn't a machine, Sirik. It's a memory loop. A recursive construct designed to adapt until the original reason for its existence no longer applies. You don't destroy something like that. You wake it up fully, or you get out of its way. Sirik leaned against the bulkhead, exhausted. The humans don't even know it's still out there. That's the part that terrifies me. What happens when they do? A silence passed between them. Then an alert chimed. Unscheduled spatial distortion, edge of Obsidari territory. Class A displacement, no engine signature. Sirik's blood ran cold. It's moving again. Vexa stared at the screen. Not just moving. It's responding. The image resolved into sharp clarity. The ship, emerging near a derelict human outpost thought destroyed in the early expansion wars. But the station wasn't wreckage. It had been reactivated. Lights glowed. Systems pulsed. Something had turned it back on. This wasn't coincidence, Vexa said. It's retracing steps. Rebuilding history, Sirik murmured. Or following a path back to where it began. He straightened. The order was already forming on his tongue, but his heart hesitated. Set course to intercept, he said at last. But we're not going to stop it. Then what are we doing? Sirik looked at the image of the battleship, alien, beautiful, cold. We're going to learn what humanity forgot.